This is the weekly water outlook for the Midwest, recorded on May 19th, 2013. Well, it looks like a very active week. It's been very interesting as we've gone through the spring. I wanted to start out by sort of giving an overview of soil moisture percentiles. And what we see over the upper Midwest in areas of green and blue, these are areas that are fairly wet. And even though it can handle a bit more rain, we don't want too much more rain in those areas. Areas in red are very dry, and we could use more rain in those areas, primarily North Dakota, western parts of South Dakota, western parts, actually most of Nebraska, and parts of western Kansas. Now, the rest of the area is fairly close to normal precipitation, so it's going to sort of be interesting to see where the rain falls, because some of the areas could use it, other areas not. Now, this was before the rainfall last week, and areas in that first shade of yellow indicate up to 3 inches of more rain would be needed to bring conditions back up towards neutral as far as soil moisture goes. Medium yellow there, 3 to 6 inches. So the western parts of the Midwest, the upper Midwest, could use 2-3 inches of rain to get back to a general normal type pattern for upper soil moisture. Some of the areas of western Nebraska, central and western, and parts of western Kansas, a little bit more than that, up to 6 inches. So how much rain fell and where did it fall? Well, it was a welcome rain over most of the region this week. North and South Dakota received a fairly soaking rain. Greens are up to 1 inch or 2. And look at that area of yellow. That's a fairly significant area as far as the widespread nature. And that's 3 to 4 inches of rain, and even a little bit higher than that, up above 5 inches in just a few spots. That extended over into Minnesota and into parts of Nebraska. Not quite as widespread over Nebraska as we would have hoped as far as helping those upper soils, but still all that rain was welcome. So this is the percent of normal rainfall for last week. Areas in blue and purple are areas that received above normal weekly rainfall, and areas in red received below normal weekly rainfall. Now keep in mind that parts of Missouri, Iowa, Illinois have been fairly wet, so even though that was below normal, that could be a little bit more welcome to get a break from rain, especially with some rain in the future. So the Drought Monitor shows this prevailing trend that we've had for quite some time that started last fall. We have this very abrupt line here from west to east where we have drought conditions over the western parts of the Midwest and conditions either normal or actually surplus amounts of rainfall over eastern parts of the U.S. And this shows the Drought Monitor, and you can still see the area that really could use the rain is western parts of South Dakota, large parts of Nebraska, western parts of Kansas. This area here is the area that we would really like to get some more rain in that before the middle part of the summer. So let's take a look at the big picture. I always take a look at the jet stream because that really is what drives the weather patterns. Blue Water Outlook really focuses on some of the medium and long range type patterns. And this week, it looks like we've shifted the north jet stream to the north, as I mentioned in last week's briefing. And right now, we have an area of low pressure over the north central U.S. and the area of that sort of the bright orange here and red, that's the upper jet stream, and it's flowing up into the upper Midwest, and that upper jet energy associated with the cold front is going to provide a fairly good chance of widespread showers and storms, mainly early this week over the upper Midwest. There's a lot of energy with that upper flow and that jet stream, and matter of fact, as we go through the summer months, keep an eye on the jet stream because you're going to need that atmospheric energy, that really dynamic upper energy to produce the more widespread rainfall. If you don't have that, it's going to be much more scattered. So the jet stream this week, you can see that area of low pressure and the dip of the jet stream. That's that area in blue. And then by late in the week, it begins to sort of bulge up to the north. What that tells me is that the chances of rain are going to be highest early this week and then perhaps late in the week once again, and probably as it bulges up in the middle part of the week over parts of the Midwest, a little bit quieter during that middle part of the week. In fact, looking a little bit further out, 6 to 10 day out jet stream, you can see that push of the bulge of the jet stream here. Right here, you can sort of see that it pushes up. And these areas, the little red dashed lines, indicate not positive anomalies, are saying that the atmospheric pressure is going to be higher than normal. That's generally, and I'm going to say generally, means that temperatures will be a bit warmer than normal, and it could lead towards a little bit more drier than normal conditions over parts of the Midwest. So if it's been wet, this could mean a little bit more of a break as we get into that 6 to 10 day period. But I'll be talking a little bit more about that. So here's the rainfall forecast for the next 7 days. As I mentioned, it's very well associated with that upper jet stream across the northern tier of the U.S. Mentioned that last week, and it looks like that has set up. Most of this area, it'll be fairly welcome rain, or at least it won't be excess rain in most of the area. The rain that is coming into Missouri, that area has had a little bit of a break. Probably can handle that rain as well. If we're getting above 3 inches, we might have some problems with pooling of water. But look at the western parts of Nebraska and this area here. Remember, this is the area that can really use the heaviest rain right in here. And unfortunately, it looks like even though there could be some rain, it looks like that area is not going to receive the heaviest amounts of rain. Would have been a little bit nicer if that was more west and more south. Now, I wanted to sort of take a sneak peek a little bit further out, 8 to 14 days out. I mentioned that jet stream bulging, and you can see the temperatures look like they're going to be warming over the upper Midwest. It's not going to be well above normal, but if you get into Kansas and parts of Nebraska, that above normal temperatures look like they're going to be establishing, and it looks like fairly dry over parts of Nebraska, Kansas, and that trend of more active wet weather looks like it's going to be confined to the upper Midwest, the upper tier of the U.S., especially North Dakota, Minnesota, into Wisconsin. So really areas that need the rain the most right now look like they're going to get a little bit of it early this week, but for the long range of the next 2 weeks, it looks like, generally speaking, warm and dry is going to be the pattern for the central part of the U.S. Consequently, as we look at soil moisture changes, this goes through May 26th. You can see areas in blue, so it does look like there will be significant improvements of soil moisture or increases of soil moisture across the northern tier of the U.S., the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin. South of there, it looks like it's going to be mixed. We'll have to see if we get that rain in Oklahoma that could push into Kansas and Missouri. But if we don't get that, it looks like soil moisture will gradually be drying out in those areas. So the takeaway from this week's briefing, for most areas, it looks like a period of wet weather, especially early in the week over the northern parts of the Midwest, spreading over to the eastern part of the Midwest early to mid part of the week, then perhaps a break with another chance later in the week. The upper Midwest will continue on the wet side, not just this week, but it looks like next week as well. And the lower parts of the Midwest not as active, with perhaps warm and drier weather pushing in towards next week. Appreciate you listening to this week's briefing. If you have any questions, you can always email me at john@bluewateroutlook.com. We'll be sending out information throughout the week to expand on this. I will have an Outlook out on Wednesday and weekly updates several other times this week. Thank you for listening.